Hey, yo, do you fuck with my shit?
Eric Omondi, a former comedic icon, once a great in the comedic scene in Africa at some point. But now, the literal epitome of a shell of his former self. How does one reduce themselves to the heady heights of comedic glory to the lowly ruins of social media mediocrity? Well, before we get into that, here's a bit of a refresher on the man who once was. By the way, shout out to Other Ranks TV. They made a much more detailed video on Eric Omondi's upbringing and stardom, or rather pre-stardom. And making this video in particular would have been really difficult if it were not for them, so shout out to them. Eric Otieno Omondi was born 9th March 1987 in Siaya County, Kondele District to be specific, to two parents, the late William Odwo and the late Margaret Omondi Juma. His dad was an OCS of Kisumu Central, while his mom was a successful businesswoman who owned several hotels, notably the Soweto Hotel in Kondele. Fun fact, his dad, William, had 5 wives and 13 kids, Eric's mom being the 4th wife. Eric had 3 siblings born from his mother, Fred Omondi, a fellow comedian, Rose Omondi, and the late Joseph Onyango Omondi. Eric went to Kondele Primary School and subsequently went to Kisumu Boys High School. Before he could continue with his university education, his mom got ill and the hospital bills quickly became a priority. Due to a lack of school fees, Eric couldn't continue with his education at the time. But, luckily enough, he was able to get a scholarship through his foster mom, Evelyn Mushosho, right after his mother's death. Eric went and enrolled at Daystar University back in 2005 to do a degree in arts communication. After a considerable amount of time, he was able to get his degree back in 2010. By the way, fun fact, Eric was a news reporter back in 2005 or 6, or during that time, he was a news reporter basically for NTV. And the guy did not even last 2 weeks. 2 weeks and he got fired. Mbio, quickly. Like, he didn't even get his monthly salo. Shit's crazy, bro. Like, that's like a definition of a 1-minute man career. In 2006, Eric met up with the iconic man we all know, Daniel Dambuki, also known as Churchill. See, at the time, Churchill was doing one of his shows, Red Corner, and before he'd finish the show, he'd usually give a motivational speech. Now, before that, Eric would normally do what he's, known for doing, being funny, of course. And through that, Churchill saw the potential in Eric and promised him that he'll give him a call. But unfortunately, that call didn't come to pass. Tough. However, unlike modern Nairobi babes, Churchill made good on his promise after 2 years. And that's where Eric's dominance as a comedian began. Good things come to those who wait. Eric's patience paid off. He literally became the main guy on the roster, on the Churchill Live roster. Churchill's second-hand man. Yeah, you know what I mean. He was his guy, basically. And back in that period of Churchill Live, Eric Omondi was in his comedic bag. I have never seen a comedic prime such as Eric Omondi. It has to be one of the greatest, No wonder he was best saved for last. Or last served for. English, Kingereza and shit. But best sub for whatever the he was so good. Like, he would crack ribs, you might think it's a Mortal Kombat game. He was that funny. He was good. You could even say he was, sort of influential. Like the Kanye West of Kenyan male comedians wearing dresses for comedic relief. I mean, we see like the likes of Lako, Fizikena, Terrence wearing dresses to make us laugh. But Eric Omondi was doing that shit way back in 2008. He was him. He was literally him. To a point where this comedic thing gave him such new opportunities. I think he's the first ever Kenyan to be on the Jimmy Fallon show, or at least one of the first Kenyans. I don't know others, but I'm certain maybe there are. And that's such a big ass achievement. As he progressed, somewhere around 2012, I think, he started his own show, How Are You, based off of his signature catchphrase. And that one didn't quite pan out. It's not that it's a bad thing, not that it contributed to this video's fall or whatever, but it didn't pan out, and shit happens. At least he tried getting out there.
Na wakati ambapo unaanza, because I think it took you a few years for you to decide to do, was it How Are You? How Are You. Unahisi kwamba kwa sababu How Are You haikukaa sana.
2 episodes.
Ni kwamba the shortest show in Kenya,
in East Africa.
But apart from that, he had brand endorsements, the likes of OLX. Whenever you think or remember OLX, you can't see OLX without Eric Omondi. That's how impactful he was to that brand or company. I don't remember if he had a thing with Airtel. I'm not too sure about that, but my boy was getting the paper, and at that time he was kind of taking hiatus from comedy until he came back to Churchill Show, which was renamed from Churchill Live, and did his thing, made the audience laugh, did his thing, but for a short while then dipped and went ahead and did his own thing, which we'll be coming to later. And from whatever I've just said, that sounds like a beautiful last story, right? Like the beginning, the rise. Oh man, that's so beautiful, man. Surely nothing can go wrong. Cindy.
Nope.
This is where the fall of Eric's career began, subjectively speaking. I previously said that he was doing his own thing online and then went for a small hiatus from the public until he came back later on the trend. And when he came back bigger. Like literally speaking, like physically, he came back bigger. And to you, it might not be much, but when you put things into comparison, there was not much of a difference between Eric Omondi and an idol. I'm sure he himself would tell you that. I think he was the chairman of Skinny Niggas Association. Now, at the time, Eric was running a somewhat controversial show, Wife Material. Basically a show about a multitude of women lining up to become Eric's wife. Now, this led into a heated debate on whether or not Eric's content was good or bad. This was spearheaded by the then CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board, Dr. Ezekiel Mutua. Which, by the way, I've come to realize this is the second time I'm mentioning him on my channel. I don't believe in coincidences, so I'll just say it's the mustache. Yep, most probably it's the mustache. That's why. Yep, that's why he's here again. Dr. Ezekiel claimed that Eric was running a brothel in disguise as content, referring back to Wife Material, which got cancelled in season 2 after the show went against the Films and Stage Plays Act Cap 222 of the laws of Kenya, which states that no person shall exhibit any film at an exhibition to which the public are admitted, or distribute such film unless he or she is registered as an exhibitor or distributor by the board and issued with a certificate. Basically, Wife Material was unauthorized to be around. That, and allegedly also one of the participants of the show, Gigi Money, was basically moving around like Thomas fucking Shelby.
Your ass and what you want.
Thank you.
You're so ugly. Look your hair. Like a sponge. Yeah. I'm ready for you, man.
How can you move someone issue? I'm such a humble girl. Like,
editing with Turiii here, and as I was editing this video, I came across a certain clip on Wife Material, and by all means, it was only research. It was just for research purposes, but
That, so you have 96.
count that as research.
Hey, they're now
Woo! Damn, she cooking all right. God.
You're dating.
Hey. Eric's Wife Material show is just one of the things in his laundry list of controversy. Like recently, he took to the streets of Parliament Road protesting for the state of the music industry in Kenya, demanding for rights such as 75% of Kenyan music to be played on the airwaves, Kenyan acts to be paid similar or higher than foreign acts, so on and so forth. This eventually got him bundled in a police car and got him detained at Central Police Station. Or even more recently, when he still took to the streets of Parliament Road, this time protesting against the high cost of living, while being shirtless and sweaty and chained up, with a bunch of sweaty, chained up, shirtless men against the police, who are also men.
Why are you gay?
But the police did their thing quite quickly, mind you, and did the same thing they did to Eric the first time. Took him to Central Police Station. Or how about this one time he had this weird beef with Bien of all people? Going back to that 75% thing he was demonstrating about on Parliament Road, Bien totally disagreed with him. Actually, he said that a lot of Kenyan artists were getting some really good money from performing and music. So this led into this weird back and forth he had with Eric Omondi. So much so it led into a physical, I wouldn't call it altercation because it was actually funny, but they actually met in person and argued over it at a Conscience concert. Like it looked like a skit from a comedy show or something. But this in turn led Eric Omondi to be banned from Soulfest later down the year. I mean, with an outfit like that, Singe Blame Bien, I would also ban Eric Omondi as well. To keep it short and sweet, I feel as if Eric Omondi shot himself in the foot by partaking in clout chasing activities. It was just okay being the comedian we've known him to be. Or if you really wanted to divert and spice up or do new stuff with your artistry, I don't believe clout chasing is the way to go. If you ask me, it's just too much. But what do you guys think? What is your opinion on this whole Eric Omondi thing? And by the way, guys, I trust you enough not for anyone to send any sort of hate or ridicule towards Eric Omondi. This is just a subjective video with some objective truths. But I'd really love your comments. Just what do you think? What's your thought process behind it? So on and so forth. Other than that, thank you for watching. It's been your boy, Turiii.
Hey, yo,
Till
do you
next time.
fuck with my shit?